Hi, how you doing? Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gina. If you're new here, I like to talk about everything true crime, history, mystery, paranormal activities, or even just sometimes random videos. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay updated with my videos. Thank you so much. Alright, so it's been a while since we've hung out. August has been it hasn't been tough or anything. I've just been kind of laying low. One thing that we can all agree on is that the world is a very negative place right now. Like, there's stuff being thrown at us from every direction. It's something that we kind of need a break from a little bit sometimes, me included. And so I think that it's important for us to also keep in mind that there are positive things happening in the world. So I kind of want to start something new in my channel. Before every video that has something negative in it, like true crime or paranormal activities or anything like that, I want to put something positive that has happened in the world, just to make sure that we do get a little bit of the positives, because there's already a lot of negativity out there. So without further ado, let's watch the positive thing for today.
Oh! Cardi B's new song, WAP, WAP. W-A-P, that's an acronym. Oh, Lord, no. I can't believe it. Well, that is just shocking. Oh my God, there's some whores in his house. There's some whores. Well, that's just, oh my Lord. I guess, well, I don't judge. To each his own. I guess every garbage can has its lid, but oh.
He's so cute. I loved that video. When I saw it on Facebook, it came on my Facebook. When I saw it, I cracked up and it just made my entire day. It kind of did a 180. It was so funny to me. He's so cute. All right, now that we have seen that, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Today's case is a case that happened in Mexico. Some of you might know, some of you might not, that I was born in Mexico, and although I do love the country that I was born in, of course, I can admit that just like any other country, it has stuff it needs to work on. One of these things is something that us Latinos like to call machismo, and machismo is a very controlling, very toxic, very unhealthy, very disrespectful, very just all-around horrible type of masculinity that is culturally perpetuated, and it's just been there forever, and it's still there, and there's a lot of women trying to stand up against it. So that's something that Mexico is struggling with. It's struggling with it so much that there is a specific kind of homicide in Mexico that I hadn't heard of before, except for it coming up on the news in Mexico. This type of homicide is called feminicidio, which is translated into femicide, and it's a combination of the words homicide and female. So it's a homicide that occurs to a female because they are female, because of their gender. It happens a lot, whether it be a spouse getting mad at their wife and then just killing her, or a partner getting mad at their partner and just killing her, or even just like a coworker or a friend or a stranger that gets rejected by a female and then they just get it over with and kill them. Yeah, it sounds horrible, doesn't it? It is. Yeah. Currently, around 10 women are murdered a day in Mexico, and within the last 5 years, femicides have increased 136%, to the point like in 2019, the number of total femicides was around 976. And this year, just from January to April, the number of reported femicides were 308 femicides. So it's, as you can see, just even by the data, it's a lot of struggle that women are having to deal with. The case that I will be discussing today is a femicide, and it happened in 2014. So let's get started. Angelica Trinidad Romero Severiano was a 24-year-old woman. She had a 2-year-old daughter, and she decided that to support herself, she would need to find a job. So therefore, she applied to the local department store called Liverpool, and this Liverpool was located inside the Centro Comercial Perisur, which is the Perisur Mall, which is located in Mexico City. Yeah, so she started working at that department store, and they sell things like clothing and earrings and perfumes, and you know, it's kind of like a Macy's or Dillard's would be here. I was doing a little bit of research on Liverpool, this department store, and I actually read an article from 2016 that stated that Liverpool is the second largest department store in Mexico, so it's kind of a big deal. On November 15th of 2014, Angelica was ending her shift at around 10 p.m. So she was getting ready to go home after a long day of cleaning and, you know, making sure the store was ready. The next day, on November 16th, would be the start of a holiday called El Buen Fin, which means the good weekend. And basically it's a whole weekend, like our Black Friday, but for 3 days straight. Yeah, so that's the holiday in Mexico. So the stores were all getting prepped up for this really busy holiday, and Angelica was part of the team to, you know, make sure that the stores were clean and it was all going well. She was getting ready to go home, and she never made it. The next morning at around 7 in the morning, when all the other workers came in, they opened up the cleaning supply closet, you know, to start their morning shift, and they unfortunately found the body of Angelica Trinidad just laying there. Angelica's co-workers notified the managers, but the managers decided that it wasn't a good look for their store if the clients found out that a dead body was found in the Liverpool closet. So they decided they wanted to keep everything, you know, hush hush, not tell anyone, and just call up a medical examiner without even contacting the family or without even contacting authorities. This medical examiner showed up, examined her body, and determined that Angelica had died from a myocardial infarction, which is a heart attack, and that she had died while eating chips. However, the family was still not being notified. Liverpool decided that they wanted to first clean up the scene. They wanted Angelica's body to be removed from the closet. They wanted, you know, the funeral home that they had paid to take her body, and they did all of that before notifying the family. Once everything that they had planned was finished, then they decided to notify the family. And remember, Angelica's body was found at 7 in the morning. The family didn't get notified until around 9:30 in the morning, so that's 2.5 hours later. Once Angelica's family was notified, they decided that they wanted to see the body, so they grabbed their car and they headed to Liverpool, to the mall, to make sure that they could, you know, see Angelica's body. But when they got there, they were denied. They were told that they couldn't see the body and that they had to leave. You guys, Angelica's family fought hard. They fought hard. And at the end, they were told, you know, you can't see the body, but it's not even because we're not letting you. It's because, you know what? Actually, because she's been taken already. Like, we paid a funeral home to take her, and she's being embalmed right now. She was literally being embalmed without the family's permission. Liverpool had paid not only for the funeral home to take her, but they had already paid for cremation services. All of this without the family's consent. All of this without notifying authorities first. They just did all of this on the low. Angelica's family wasn't going to give up though. When they found out that Angelica's body was at the funeral home already, they called the funeral home and they told them, like, no, stop the embalming process, stop what you're doing right now, or else we're gonna notify the police. And they actually still notified the police anyway, because Liverpool had not followed the legal protocols at all. Thankfully, the funeral home listened to them and they were able to see Angelica's body, but when they got there, she had already been fully prepared, fully embalmed. There was makeup on her face, and her family said that when they saw her, they noticed something like under her makeup that looked sketchy. It looked like a bruise. So they asked the funeral home to please remove the makeup. The funeral home listened to them and they removed the makeup. Once the makeup was removed off of Angelica's face, they could see clearly that she had marks on her face, like she had been hurt, like she had been beaten. This is when they officially decided that something was very, very, very wrong, and they were going to get to the end of it. They asked the medical examiner to please explain to them how a heart attack would cause all of these bruises on her face and on the top, like the very top of her head. It wasn't even like around here. No, it was on the top of her head. And the medical examiner said, "Oh, don't worry. It's not bruises. It's not blood. It's salsa." What? Obviously, it wasn't salsa, and the family knew this. Her family, of course, wanted a second opinion, and so they went to the Instituto de Ciencias Forenses, or the Institute of Forensic Science, to get that second opinion. The Instituto de Ciencias Forenses came up with a completely different series of events that might have happened. Unlike the first medical examiner that was paid by Liverpool, the Instituto de Ciencias Forenses concluded that Angelica had passed away due to a generalized visceral congestion. What is this? Generalized visceral congestion happens whenever blood accumulates in your organs, so much so that it gets trapped there and it isn't able to go back to the heart, and therefore it causes death. Yeah, that happened to Angelica. And the reason that generalized visceral congestion happens is because thorax is being smushed. It can also happen through strangulation, and it could also happen from being beaten. Yeah. As we can see, completely different stories from the medical examiner who was paid by this department store and the Institute of Forensic Sciences, which did a proper examination of her body. Everything seemed even sketchier once the family read the official documents that the original medical examiner had written, the one that was hired by Liverpool. Yeah, on the official documents, he stated that not only did Angelica die from a heart attack, she died in her home, and he also, for some reason, included the fact that Angelica had been seeing a doctor for a month prior because she had high blood pressure problems. All of this was false. Every single thing that this medical examiner wrote was false. Angelica hadn't been seeing a doctor for anything. She didn't die at her home. She died at the Liverpool closet. And she didn't die from a myocardial infarction. She died because she was either strangled or beaten or a combination of both. Like, she was murdered. The family wasn't getting any answers from Liverpool. They weren't getting any answers from the mall. They weren't getting any answers from the authorities. So they decided to ask Liverpool for their video footage just to see, you know, what's on it, what might have happened. They asked Liverpool, they asked the mall in general, just, you know, if they could see the footage from like surrounding the building, just in case they could see anything. But the mall decided they didn't want to be involved, and Liverpool could deal with it, but Liverpool also didn't want to be involved because they didn't want the bad publicity. So they kind of just ignored the family, thinking that because they were a low-income family, they wouldn't have the resources to fight back. However, Liverpool's plans weren't really going to work because Angelica's family had a lot of support from the public. A lot of people were posting about this on social media. The news was covering it. Although, let me tell you, the news never mentioned Liverpool. They always said a female that died in the department store. Some sources wouldn't even say her name. Like, official news sources would not even say her name. And very few of them, like maybe 2 of all of the ones that I saw, ever mentioned Liverpool as Liverpool. No, most of them just said a woman that was murdered inside a department store. That's it. No name for the victim and no name for where it happened. Regardless, Angelica's family had a lot of support from social media. They had a lot of support from the public, and Liverpool was kind of forced to make a statement at that point. Liverpool's statement was very generalized. It just talked about how Angelica had been working there for a few months and that they were very sorry that this happened, but they failed to mention everything that they did to try to hide the evidence, try to get rid of the evidence, and try to get rid of the body. They didn't mention that at all, of course, and they didn't really take responsibility for anything that they did. Angelica's family, and at this point the public as well, they wanted answers. They wanted Liverpool to take responsibility for what they did, and they wanted Liverpool to be held accountable for what they did. So because this wasn't really happening and things were moving so slow in the investigation, authorities weren't really doing what they were supposed to do. Feminist groups as well as Angelica's family decided to organize a protest outside of the mall, and this protest went on December 17th of 2014.
Salimos a manifestarnos a Liverpool con sede en Perisur para repudiar el asesinato de Angélica Romero, trabajadora de limpieza de esta sucursal. También denunciamos a este régimen cómplice asesino y a la patronal que ha dado declaraciones de que murió producto de un paro cardíaco. Sus familiares iniciaron un proceso de denuncia para exigir que se esclarezca su asesinato. Nosotras creemos que es muy importante denunciar todo esto, ya que se da en el marco de que miles de mujeres son asesinadas a lo largo y ancho del país. A su vez, no olvidemos que hasta hace unos meses miles estaban en las calles denunciando este régimen asesino y exigiendo la aparición con vida de los 43 normalistas. Por ello, creemos que es muy importante poner en pie un gran movimiento de mujeres que además se vincule con otros sectores para frenar el feminicidio, para frenar la impunidad y para frenar a este régimen patronal. Queremos vivas a todas las mujeres, no más feminicidios, no creemos en sus leyes. Queremos vivas a todas las mujeres, no más feminicidios, no creemos en...
It wasn't until around January whenever the authorities finally decided to state who had been responsible for the murder of Angelica, and they said that it was this man named Marco Antonio Ochoa Almazan. Marco Antonio was also a worker at the Perisur Mall. He also worked at Liverpool, and he was one of the cleaning people as well, just like Angelica was. Authorities said that either both of them or just him were drunk, and they decided to go into this closet together where an argument ensued, and therefore he ended up strangling her. They say that they think that Angelica was rejecting him and that's why he decided to do it, but we can't really know because Liverpool did a very good job at messing up all the evidence. In February, 3 more people were arrested. Jorge Álvarez Montaño, Gustavo Humberto Godínez Cardoso, and Alejandra Olgarra Reyes Santos. They were all Liverpool workers, general management, all of them, who worked together to basically conceal evidence. They were arrested, but they had enough money to be out on bail, and so they paid the money and they were essentially just let go. Yeah, this happened with the medical examiner as well. He got arrested, but they put a bail on him, and so he just got out, and they are free now after everything they did. Just free. Marco Antonio Ochoa, he doesn't have that kind of money. He never had that kind of money, and so he got sentenced to 45 years in prison for the murder of Angelica, and he also was told that he had to pay funeral costs for Angelica's family. Now you might think that justice was served and the man responsible for this got arrested and, you know, the family got their answers. However, Angelica's family, specifically her dad, came out and said that he does not believe the authorities got the correct person. He went as far as to defend Marco Antonio, stating that Marco Antonio was the man who defended his daughter against being bullied whenever she worked at the store. She was of a darker skin tone, and in Mexico, if you're a little bit of a darker skin tone, you get harassed. And so he said that Marco Antonio was the man who defended his daughter against the managers and against other co-workers who were harassing his daughter because of the color of her skin. So Angelica's family, along with a lot of other people, believe that Marco Antonio got framed because he had no resources to fight back. The company decided, you know, we'll let this guy take the fall for it, even though it was a higher up who actually murdered her, because money talks, you know. And so this is what happened, and Marco Antonio is now serving time in prison, while a lot of people believe that the real one who committed the murders is still just running this store, or, you know, being a wealthy CEO. Liverpool never took accountability. Liverpool, like managers and the workers that messed with all of the evidence, they didn't have to pay anything. They didn't have to serve time in prison, pay any money. I mean, the bail, but come on. They're essentially like wealthy, so they had that money. It wasn't a big deal to them. No. Liverpool has had many controversies aside from just Angelica's. And it's so much so that, like, if you look at their website, their motto is Liverpool, we're part of your life. And people have made fun of that and kind of twisted it around because of the irony. And they've turned it into, like, Liverpool, it's part of your death. So that's what Liverpool is known for. However, people continue shopping there like nothing's happened, and they continue to, you know, be consumers in a store that essentially is very unethical. This company also faced backlash after they decided that they wanted to capitalize off of women's movements. So they decided to sell these boots with the movement Not One More. And Not One More is a movement that claims they don't want like any more females to be murdered. Not one more woman murdered. Like, we're done. And this movement, they decided to capitalize off that and sell some boots. Yeah, so they got backlash for that. However, like I said, people still buy there all the time. It's still a very big company in Mexico, and it's still a company that a lot of people go to buy their daily products from. It really saddens me to know that if you have money, you don't really have to pay the consequences for your actions, especially like in this case, the 3 general managers at the Liverpool store that did all of that work to be able to hide that evidence and pay that medical examiner and that funeral home. They didn't do anything but pay some bail money, and now they're free. The medical examiner that falsified documents and came up with like completely fake information, he's free. The funeral home that got paid to embalm and cremate Angelica before the family would even find out, they're free too. And I guess the funeral home is like at least a little bit better than the rest because they worked with the family, but still, like, no one paid the price for everything that they did. They just paid some money and they were set free. Angelica's family didn't get justice. They really didn't even get answers. They didn't get anything. And the spokesperson for the family, which is Angelica's cousin, he did a very good job at being vocal, being present for Angelica's case. He went out, gave interviews, talked to the media, tried to do the best to let people know what was going on and to let people know, like, this is not okay. But unfortunately, money talks, and I don't know, like, I want to know your guys' thoughts on this case. I want to know if you think that Marco Antonio is the man responsible or if you think he got framed. I want to know what punishments you think would have been better for the employees of Liverpool and the general managers at Liverpool and the medical examiner and the funeral home. If you guys think that they got the punishment they deserve to just pay bail and leave, or if you think it should have been a little bit harsher. Just let me know what you think about, like, Liverpool not even being mentioned by name in the news media just to protect their business. I don't know. It's just crazy how much money and power just controls everything. I don't know. Anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you think it's worth sharing, please do. And, you know, I don't know. You can suggest cases for me. You can send me emails or comments or do whatever. I don't know. Sorry guys, I don't know what to do. Sorry. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.